There is no question about it. We have to be, or I have to be, and I will be, brutally frank, brutally realistic, and want what is. Not what should be or what ought to be or what you want by entitlement, by fairness, by level playing field, level competitive field. There's no gods. There are no bystanders. There are no gurus who can or will intervene and make it happen. The stupidest words I've ever heard in my life is when somebody says, "This is the man, this is the woman who has the power and the will to make it happen for me." I am a short man, small man, by all standards. Short equals small. Gotta face that fact. Tall is big. Period. That's the stereotype. That's the caricature. That's the conditioning, the social and psychological conditioning. It's pandemic. Then you have to say, I'm short. I'm dumpy. I'm ugly. You have to admit all of that. If it's true, you look in a mirror, you listen to your critics, your adversaries, your enemies, your opponents out there, in the mockery and the stereotypes and the caricatures and the insults. They're telling you the truth. There's a lot of truth in that. The problem is to smash through all the delusions of grandeur, all the phony entitlements, all the castles in the air, smash them, stomp on them, pound them into dust. Clean out the Aegean stables any way you can, that being all the bullshit that you filled up like clutter in the Aegean stable to sustain you in your delusions of grandeur and your false hopes and expectancies. Will what is. Elliot Rodger, The Day of Retribution, wallowed in delusions that he came from a very prominent, very good family. By good, I mean more revered and respected on the social level. In the game of keeping up with the Joneses and one-upsmanship, his family were big winners in that. So Elliot naturally assumed an entitlement, especially when he hit the campus, Isla Vista, and saw what was going on. He says, "Hey, piece of cake for a man like me, for a masterful, wonderful gentleman like me, beautifully groomed, with my fancy Hugo Boss shirt, my Neiman Marcus slacks, my BMW, and my very prominent, successful family to back me up. And look around, look at these bums, these jocks on a skateboard with a t-shirt. Piece of cake." Come to find out, delusions of grandeur. The reality was 180 degrees in the opposite way. It was the jocks on the skateboards that were coordinated, that were athletic, that were muscular, that were tall, that were virile in presence, and had the art and the skill and the experience to chat up the tall blondes. And all Elliot could do was worship from afar, dream, fantasize, and in the solitude of his room, he could think in his mind, hey, this isn't fair. Where are the gods? How come a man like me, a decent man, a magnificent gentleman, who will treat a woman with elegance, have to sit and watch and endure the agony of watching these miserable, gruesome, behaving, obnoxious brute stud taking all the women? Oh, what the hell's going on here? And then you can see it's easy for something like this to snowball and build up. When the first question that should have been asked of Elliot is, do you date? Do you masturbate? Have you ever felt bad about your size? I mean your sexual size. Watch the reactions. Do you date? Do you masturbate? What we're trying to do is shock the lad into physical reactions that reveal the reality of what you're dealing with. And come to find out, the boy is microphallus. 4-inch. Holy smoke. Elliot, why don't you tell me this right from the start? It's a whole different reality, puts a whole different spin on everything. You've got to expose the issues, is what I'm driving at. You've got to expose the issues in their stark, naked, brute reality. Let's begin with that. Let's begin with the evidence. Let's begin with a crude, cold, hard, ruthless accounting of what is. Elliot, you weigh 125 pounds. You're a little man like me. You're microphallus on top of that. You're weak and puny compared to the virile, studly, powerful jock. How are you going to equalize it? How are you going to get justice? And just the very use of the word justice is a mistake. The justice is what is. I'm saying there is no entitlement. I'm saying there is no fairness. I'm saying the studs that get the tall blondes deserve it. It's what should be. It's what ought to be. Prerogative. If it didn't occur that way, there'd be something very, very wrong in the structure of reality. It's very hard to come. And this talk is about, this little diatribe is about what is. Embracing what is, wanting what is, and taking it from there. Getting rid of all the phoniness within ourselves. Good, hard gestalt. Chasing down the alibis, the justifications, the excuses. Holding the mirror of cold, hard reality is like Don Quixote. I am the Lord of La Mancha. And he goes out on the quest with his faithful sidekick. And he's stopped by the Knights of the Mirrors. I am the Lord of the Mirrors. And they're all holding the mirrors up to Don Quixote. From every angle he turns, he's trying to keep the illusion going that he's the king of La Mancha, the man from La Mancha, who's going to right all the wrongs, who's going to challenge the injustices that he sees, that Quixote perceives in his delusions. The Knights of the Mirror Say to Quixote, Quixote, look in the mirror and tell us what you see there. And Quixote goes around, he turns around the circle and says, I see Don Quixote, the Lord of La Mancha. And the Knight of the Mirror says, bullshit. Now I tell you what I see, Quixote. I see an old, staggering, silly fool out there. Now what do you say to this, Quixote? Look in the mirrors, Quixote. And he turns around everywhere he looks. He now sees how foolish he is. He now sees how vain the claims of grandeur. I am Don Quixote. I'm out to slay the dragons. I'm out to right the wrongs. And the Knight of the Mirror says, bullshit. Look in the mirrors. Quixote, see what you are. See how you're behaving. See what you look like to us. We're the reality. We're what's real. You, in your act, are a fool. Now let's get with it. Let's ask the right questions. Let's look in that mirror. Let's see what's there. Let's go into the hell and blood and come out after going through 500 yards of pure shit to emerge at the other end, going through that purification by fire and become cauterized, hardened steel, unembarrassable, desensitized. Can't be embarrassed, can't be insulted. Because he sees and embraces and wants the real being what is right there in front of you. What the cold, hard, ruthless, undeniable facts have to say. Let's start there. Let's start with the evidence and we take it from there.